Welcome everyone, Division 2 action now. This is from week 2 between Tyler Adams and Anthony Frederiksson. Unfortunately I cut off Tyler's name there, apologies for that. You can see the points there, 0 and 12. That's because this is week 2. Tyler had a... Oh, sorry, I've got those around the wrong way. Tyler's on 0 points because he had a bye in week 1. And Anthony has 12 points because he had a perfect round in week 1. So it looks like it's going to be Esper midrange here. You can tell by the Hero Precinct 1. As a, Thief of Sanity sometimes shows up in Esper control, but usually not in the main deck. There's a hero. Tyler's on Jeskai. Probably if he's kind of net decked for standard, then he's on this Jeskai Super Friends list, which is it's kind of an interesting list because I seem to get thumped by it every time I play it at Standard Showdown. I play this Esper midrange at Standard Showdown, but whenever I try and play this game, play this deck in the league, I just get myself thumped. Its removal just tends to be a bit lacking, so we'll see if, particularly against Planeswalkers in a Planeswalker heavy meta. So we're going to see here how Tyler can cope with that. What he is going to need is plenty of creature removal. You can see all the cheap stuff, the Hero of Precinct plus the humans that come along with it, as well as the Thief of Sanity. Tyler's deck normally does play 3 main deck Deafening Clarion, so that'll be pretty good in this matchup. Anthony's going to get down a Thief here. So we'll see if Tyler's got the removal for this. This is often kind of an awkward spot for Teferi Time Raveler because you can see he comes down, he bounces the hero, and then draws a card, but he often dies to the next threat, even a threat that he bounced, because he can't get back up to protect himself again. So, it still buys you a turn, and it cycles, which is not too bad. Khan's Scion of Urza. This is one card I really don't like in this deck. I like Kasmina in that slot instead, just because she puts bodies on the board and protects other Planeswalkers with her 2 tax limit. So you can see here Thief is not going after Teferi, and that is because Thief's trigger is damage to player, not damage. So if he hits Teferi with the Thief, he doesn't get the trigger. But this is looking pretty ominous. Tyler's going to be able to cast that Sarkhan next turn. Yeah, so you got to take the Sarkhan, and with a Spell Pierce off the top coming up next for Anthony, this is looking pretty good for him in game 1. This is starting to get out of control. Shock is going to take down the Thief, you'd imagine. Unfortunately for Tyler, Anthony has a second one in his hand. You can see Mortify is probably going to come out depending on how many he's got. It's okay, I think, to keep 1, particularly against a more control deck, because they've probably got Search for Ascanta. You can take that down, but if you got 2 or 3 Mortifiers, you're going to cut 2. But this Esper midrange is straight off the bat in game 1 is pretty well equipped to deal with a lot of the threats in this meta. It can beat the aggro burn decks, aggro mono red decks game 1 quite easily because it can gain life. Ooh, Narset. What did I miss there? So there's the Dovin's Veto. So it's kind of awkward. He wants to hit a land here because he's got 5 cards in hand. So this time he's going to decide to take down Teferi. The reason he takes down Teferi there, of course, is because he can't play his Dovin's Veto while Teferi's on the board. Two, 4, 6 lands for Tyler. Tyler's been gaining... Interplanar Beacon is a very underrated card here. So here's Teferi again. This has to get vetoed, you'd imagine. So we'll see if there's a follow-up here. Tyler just running out of gas here, but he's still at a pretty healthy 16 life. You can see Anthony's board. He's building towards Teferi Hero of Dominaria, which I don't think this Jeskai list has a card in the main deck that can take down a Planeswalker. I think Ugin is just game over if he can get to Ugin. Khan continues to tick up. So he's given him Saheeli. That's a interesting call there, because you can see he's going to play out Saheeli now. He didn't give him the shock, because the shock would have taken down the hero. So this is kind of risky from Tyler. It's going to pay off though, because he's not going to die. You can see Anthony had 2 mana open. If he had something like an Opt, which is not generally played in this list, it would have been a problem. I think here I would have preferred to go at Saheeli, because Saheeli's minus does nothing in this deck. So as long as Saheeli's on the board, it's doing what it's meant to, and that's generate tokens. See, if Tyler can string a few cantrips together here, he's going to have a pretty good defense up. We'll see what he can get though. Staring down Teferi. It's a Sarkhan. So Sarkhan's going to create a 1/1 from Saheeli plus a 4/4 to protect himself, but unfortunately there's Mortify on the other side. Is he going to have enough? I think it's -3 for Sarkhan to make the to make the dragon. If it's -3, then he can't clear the board. Well, he's going to go up. He wants Teferi gone. That's fair enough. One major problem that I've discovered, I mean, Sarkhan is awesome on curve, if you can curve into him, but one big problem that he has is that he turns your Planeswalkers into 4/4 flyers, but they're vulnerable, so say Mortify can actually take down that Saheeli. So Sarkhan's not going to die next turn, but well, actually no, Saheeli won't die either unless he chooses to use Mortify. He would be tempted to fire off Ugin here, because you can see Tyler's got 1 land open, so although, no, he's got 2 lands open. This deck, Jeskai deck, does generally play 2 or 3 Spell Pierce main board. So there's the threat of a blowout here. No idea why he didn't attack then. No idea why he didn't do anything. He didn't even play out the Thief. So I've missed something there, and it's a bit unusual. My line, I would have either gone for the Mortify and the servos that you can finish off Saheeli, and that would have enabled a Thief of Sanity as well. I don't know if I like this line. It's a bit aggressive here. Yeah, it's going to get punished big time. I think that's a bit pointless, to be honest. Flashes the Spell Pierce. May as well have played it, because the jig's up now. Alexa, what did I miss?
One new notification from Amazon Shopping. From Matthew, a shipment will arrive today, including my water bottle holder.
Yeah, so he knows about the Spell Pierce now, so 2, 4, 6. He can't play Ugin, now he can. Okay, so once this resolves, he can squeeze out Ugin next turn, because Spell Pierce doesn't do anything, and that was enough for Tyler, so we're going to game 2. One, two, 3 lands, but no early interaction yet. So he's head to Mulligan. Keeps Vraska's Contempt on top. Yeah, one problem with these Jeskai decks, particularly the build around Khan, is that they tend to be kind of a glass cannon deck, in that Everything revolves around Sarkin. If you can stop or get rid of Sarkin, then the deck doesn't really have a lot of firepower. The individual planeswalkers don't do a hell of a lot by themselves. And I'm not a huge fan either of Mox Amber. When this deck first came out, it played 3 or 4, and it's been trimming them right down. I think it's down to 1 now. It's kind of a bit too gimmicky. The amount of times that it actually ramps you. The idea is it ramps into Sarkin on turn 4 rather than turn 5. But once you have the Planeswalker on turn 3, so I don't think the payoff is good enough because you're only going to have 1 Planeswalker, so it's pushing an extra 4 points of damage for the ramp. Interesting choice here. What's he going to play? Go for the throat with Thief, and that's exactly what he does. The other option, of course, was Thought Erasure, but you can see Tyler ticked up Teferi, so it's just a straight bounce for that Thief. And that's a pretty good play from Tyler, because he could have just minused it on nothing in the previous turn. Oh, he's going to go again, plusing. I'm a bit surprised. Oh, okay, he's got an answer for the Thief. Okay. I was going to say it's a nice play to tick it up, because he had no targets to bounce anyway, so tick it up. You get the effect of Teferi, and you can kind of save that ability for when it matters. You sacrifice the card draw, obviously, but if you've got decent cards in hand, it doesn't matter as much. So here's Thought Erasure. We're going to see what's going on. 2 Deafening Clarions and a Teferi. What's he going to take here? He's going to take the Teferi. Going to keep... Is he... Thinking, because he can take 1 Deafening Clarion. He's going to keep that on top. Yeah, so he's effectively only got to deal with 1 Deafening Clarion once he draws that second Thought Erasure. That was the Sacred Founder is Tyler's draw for the turn. So you can see again here the issue with this deck. It's just doesn't have enough gas. Tyler's hoping for a top deck. Vraska's Contempt takes down Teferi, and even the top deck here. It's you look at Anthony. He's got nothing going on either, but he only needs 1 card and he's off to the races. Well, that's a pretty handy draw. I think if you're going to duress here, I'd rather Thought Erasure, because you can... Oh, 3 Deafening Clarions. Yeah. I would rather Thought Erasure first, because yeah, you can see there, you can set up your next card. Teferi Hero Dominaria is going to be huge. The only problem is there's Mobilized District sitting on the other side, so he's going to have to find something to deal with that. Tyler getting busy here. So Teferi comes down. He's going to plus, but it's 2 turns to find an answer for Mobilized District. Chose not to play out a land there. I'm not sure why. I think it's okay to do that when you've got 1 card in hand and it's a land, but when you've got 2 cards, it doesn't have the same sort of effect. So here comes Mobilized District. Straight at Teferi down to 2. So he's going to have to find an answer this turn. Let's see what it is. It's not an answer. So Teferi will... Oh, actually no, Teferi can still plus. He's got 1 more chance to find something. And this is a good combo. You Thought Erasure first. Get rid of that swamp so it gives you a better chance to draw something. And it still didn't work. So Teferi down, only a Spell Pierce in hand. He's stripped Tyler of 3 board wipes, 3 Deafening Clarions. So coast is clear if he ever draws his threats. One thing I do tend to do when I play this Esper deck, Esper midrange, particularly against control decks, is just drop my cheap threat count, so the Guild Mage the flyer. I tend to take it out, bring in more control cards. And that's what he was after, a hero. So the hero can start to go off now because there's no deafening clarions. You don't want to go too full control when you're this Esper mid-range, because you're never going to be able to out-control a control deck, because they've already got the cards in the sideboard. Still a long way to go to chip away with the mobilized district. He can activate it again, so hero can't attack this time. But that spell pierce looking really bad now, sitting in his hand. Did he forget about the district? Yep. I don't know if he's trying to call his bluff there, but this is going to backfire big time. Tyler's not fallen for it, and Hero of Precinct 1 is going to get sacrificed. I don't know if he's trying to call his bluff or just misplayed big time. Shock down the Thief, that'll have to get countered, yep. And so he's out of gas, but Thief is going to get a hit in next turn. Deputy Detention, a nice find. Just double check that that district doesn't have flying. It does not. In comes the Thief. Not sure. That doesn't have flying, does it? This is a chronic misplay from Tyler, so it's going to even up the misplays from last time, because that district can't block the Thief. So now Anthony's going to be able to Deputy of Detention that mobilized district. Gets his own Sarkon here. This is looking gross. I think this one's over. We might see a concession pretty soon. There is Sarkon. And there's the concession.